Dharma protectors are special beings who clear our obstacles for our Dharma practice. Historically, several Dharma protectors were brought from the great monasteries of Bodh Gaya and Nalanda in India to Tibet to protect Buddha's sacred teachings from being lost or becoming corrupted. There are both enlightened and unenlightened Dharma protectors, and different protectors will arise at different times to fulfill different purposes. Dharma protectors help provide for us on both a spiritual and worldly level. On a spiritual level, they clear obstacles for our Dharma study and practice, helping us to gain attainments and wisdom to guide our own lives. On a worldly level, they remove problems and provide the resources we need to practice Dharma smoothly. For example, if we had enough money, and if our family life was harmonious and stable, we could practice Dharma more easily. Enlightened protectors will not help us to go deeper into samsara. Dorje Shugden is an enlightened Dharma protector of this time, arising specially to guard the precious teachings of the Dharma and to protect Dharma practitioners of this day and age. Dorje Shugden is an emanation of Manjushri, the Buddha of wisdom, who manifests at this time to pave the way for the immense beneficial growth of Dharma in the world. Although Dorje Shugden manifested around 350 years ago, this great being comes from a long lineage of great masters. The line of his illustrious incarnations can be traced all the way back to the time of the historical sage Buddha Shakyamuni, when Manjushri emanated as a student of Shakyamuni. Buddhas often emanate into various forms in this way for specific purposes and to accommodate the needs of beings at that time and place. The earliest recorded lineage master of Dorje Shugden's incarnation lineage was one of the legendary 84 Mahasiddhas of India. The Mahasiddha Birwapa, an emanation of Manjushri who lived in the 9th century, was especially famed for his erudite teachings and ability to manifest many miracles. The next key incarnation of this lineage was Lord Duldzin Drakpa Geltsen, one of Lama Tsongkhapa's 8 closest disciples. Lord Duldzin was famed throughout the land for his pure morality, for upholding his Buddhist vows. His very name Duldzin meant Vinaya, vow holder. He was also known for overseeing the full construction of Ganden Monastery. This would become the first and most prominent monastic institution of the Gelugpa lineage, which was established by Lama Tsongkhapa. One day, as Lama Tsongkhapa was giving teachings to a large assembly of monks, a white dove appeared and circled above continuously, disturbing the teaching. Lord Duldzin recognized the dove as the Dharma protector Nechung, but did not say anything during Tsongkhapa's discourse. After the teachings, when Lama Tsongkhapa and all the students had left the hall, Lord Duldzin remained behind, alone, and addressed the dove. Nechung, why are you disturbing my Lama's teachings? He asked sternly. What do you want? The dove then transformed into a small boy, dressed all in white, who walked up to Lord Duldzin and said, I need your help. Lama Tsongkhapa has taught Nagarjuna's middle view perfectly. An uncommon protector needs to arise to protect these perfect teachings. I cannot do this, as I have already promised Guru Rinpoche that I will protect Buddhism in general. Duldzin, can you arise as a protector, uncommon to the Ganden lineage, to protect Nagarjuna's middle view, as taught so clearly by Tsongkhapa? Will you promise to do this? Duldzin nodded as he said, Yes, I will do it, I promise. The small boy said to Lord Duldzin, Do not forget your promise. Then he disappeared. In his next life, Duldzin manifested as the legendary scholar Panchen Sonam Drakpa, renowned for his profound knowledge and powerful eloquence in debate. He became the first and only person in history to be abbot of all 3 great Gelug monasteries, Ganden, Drepung and Sera. He also ascended the illustrious throne as the 15th Ganden Trippa, a highly respected position that represents Lama Tsongkhapa on earth. Panchen Sonam Drakpa was extremely erudite, scholarly, and sharp in his wisdom. He was particularly famed for writing 11 definitive volumes of philosophical teachings that are still being studied in Ganden Shatse and Drepung Loseling today, as the central syllabus for becoming a Geshe, the equivalent of a PhD in Buddhist studies. These 11 volumes are also studied in other major monasteries as comparative studies. After Panchen Sonam Drakpa passed into clear light, he returned in his next incarnation as a boy, Tulku Drakpa Gyaltsen, who showed miraculous signs from a young age. At his birth, rainbows appeared and the earth shook to rejoice at the appearance of this great being. From a young age, Tulku Drakpa Gyaltsen could clearly remember his previous lives. He would naturally pick up and use ritual implements and was able to memorize any text given to him. By the age of 9, he was writing commentaries and giving teachings. By 18, he had meditated in hundreds of caves in Tibet, where his students reported that he saw Buddhas directly. He had to keep moving from cave to cave because the fame of his great attainment spread like wildfire. People came from everywhere to make offerings to him and seek his blessings. He moved because he wanted privacy and disliked fame. He only wished to be in retreat and meditate. After the 4th Dalai Lama passed away, 2 of the most prominent candidates for his incarnation were Tulku Drakpa Gyaltsen and Ngawang Losang Gyatso. Eventually, Ngawang Losang Gyatso was selected as the 5th Dalai Lama, but from a very young age, Tulku Drakpa Gyaltsen demonstrated such great attainments that he was often compared to the Dalai Lama himself. They both stayed in Drepung Ngappa under the tutelage of the 4th Panchen Lama, Losang Cherki Gyaltsen. Drepung was also the center of the Tibetan government at the time, called Ganden Podrang. While Tulku Drakpa Gyaltsen did not become the 5th Dalai Lama, he was widely respected and continuously sought after. Streams of people would come from far and wide just to pay their respects. Tibetan nobility, Chinese and Mongolian royalty often traveled huge distances to request blessings and teachings from him. As Tulku Drakpa Gyaltsen lived within the same monastery as the 5th Dalai Lama, students of the Dalai Lama saw the increasing numbers of students' attention and sponsorship that Tulku Drakpa Gyaltsen received. The great 5th Dalai Lama was unaffected by this, but his attendants thought that it was not right that Tulku Drakpa Gyaltsen was more popular than the 5th Dalai Lama and became very jealous. One day, Tulku Drakpa Gyaltsen had an audience with the protector Nechung, who spoke to him through an oracle. An oracle is a specially trained person who can channel beings from a different realm, such as Dharma protectors. The oracle asked him, "Are you ready? Do you remember your promise?" Tulku Drakpa Gyaltsen was surprised and asked, "Ready for what? I don't remember any promise." The oracle picked up some rice, blessed it, and gave it to Tulku Drakpa Gyaltsen to eat. The oracle said, "You made a promise that you would arise as an uncommon protector. Take this and you will remember. Can you arise as a protector to protect Nagarjuna's middle view, as taught by Tsongkhapa? Will you promise to do this?" "Yes, I will do it, I promise." Tulku Drakpa Gyaltsen ate the rice and remembered. He exclaimed, "I remember now." He then said, "But I have a problem. I don't have anger in my mind stream. How can I arise as a wrathful Dharma protector if I don't have anger?" Nechung replied, "I will help you." And so Nechung began to create the conditions for Tulku Drakpa Gyaltsen to manifest and emerge as a supreme Dharma protector. He fanned intrigue and whispers of discontent among the disgruntled, jealous students of the 5th Dalai Lama, and the circumstances for the long foretold protector began to arise. "You better do something. This is getting too much. Tulku Drakpa Gyaltsen is stealing the limelight again. We can't let that happen." They eventually decided and justified that for the sake of the Buddha Dharma, they had to kill him. The attendants of the 5th Dalai Lama began to plot and plan ways to assassinate Tulku Dragpa Gyaltsen, and various murder attempts were made. First, they tried to poison him, but to no avail. Tulku Dragpa Gyaltsen was so highly attained that he had full control of the winds and energies of his body. The poison was simply expelled and he remained unaffected. They then plotted to seek audience with Tulku Dragpa Gyaltsen under the guise of respectfully making offerings to him. As they approached him, they withdrew a knife that was hidden under the offerings and tried to stab him to death. Again, their attempts failed. Wherever they tried to stab him, eyes would spontaneously appear on his body and look back at them. No matter what they did, those who hated Tulku Dragpa Gyaltsen just could not kill him. Out of compassion and realizing what needed to be done, Tulku Dragpa Gyaltsen then told them, "There's only one way you can kill me in this life. You will have to choke me with a cutter." And so they did. They killed Tulku Dragpa Gyaltsen by stuffing a cutter down his throat. As he was suffocating, a slight amount of fierce energy resembling wrath arose in Tulku Dragpa Gyaltsen as he passed into his next emanation. At Tulku Dragpa Gyaltsen's funeral, many turned out to mourn the great master. Representatives of the Chinese emperor, princess of Tibet, and high lamas of monasteries all came to pay their respects. Tulku Dragpa Gyaltsen's body was placed on a huge funeral pyre that was specially prepared for this highly respected lama. Then his attendants tried to light the pyre. However, no matter what they did, the pyre refused to catch fire and would not burn. Amidst this turmoil, the great 5th Dalai Lama found out that Tulku Dragpa Gyaltsen had been murdered by the Dalai Lama's own attendants. The Dalai Lama was instantly and deeply regretful, exclaiming, "Oh, what did my people do?" The Dalai Lama immediately composed a prayer in poetic form as an apology, which praised Tulku Dragpa Gyaltsen's qualities and expressed his own great remorse for what his people had done. The prayer was brought down on a tray from the Dalai Lama's residence to the funeral pyre. When Tulku Dragpa Gyaltsen's main attendant read aloud the prayer composed by the 5th Dalai Lama, the fire caught alight on its own and the pyre started to burn. As the fire began to gain strength and the pyre broke into flames, Tulku Dragpa Gyaltsen's main attendant slapped his robe on the pyre in frustration and exclaimed, "What kind of High Lama are you? How can you let them kill you and not do anything?" Suddenly, a thick gust of wind and smoke swirled out from the funeral pyre, arose into the sky and covered all of Lhasa, in the shape of a large hand. As it swept through the sky, earthquakes shook the land, hail fell, cattle died, crops failed, and there was famine throughout the land. These were all signs of the cumulative negative karma of the people who had destroyed a holy being like Tulku Dragpa Gyaltsen. The Dalai Lama sensed that it was a bad omen. "We have wronged Tulku Dragpa Gyaltsen," he said. "He has died and become a raging evil spirit." There was no peace in Lhasa from that moment onwards. The Dalai Lama could not even drink a cup of tea in peace. The teacup would tremble every time he brought it to his lips.